Hey everyone, welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be doing a how-to mod on a Danelectro Fab tone. I got this pedal for free from a friend, so everything that I'm doing with found parts and zero cost because I was trying to keep with that theme. When you take it apart, the PCB or printed circuit board comes in two parts and it's connected by these little connector pins in this white socket over here. You take it apart, you unscrew this, you undo the socket, you kind of have to wiggle out those little black inputs from the white casing that they're sitting in. You're left with this, you have to unscrew all of the things off here, and you can take that off too. Of course, take the battery out, and you can kind of see all these kind of multi-level little places for it to be screwed in. It's this mess in there. The main things we're going to be looking at today are the R14 resistor and the clipping diodes down here, which didn't look like this when we started. If you're going to do one thing to this pedal, this is what you need to do. The R14 and, am I getting that right? Yeah, the R14 and R15, I messed with these. I saw somebody had a mod where they had an LED sticking out of that little white casing that's right underneath. This is the Fab potentiometer. And I thought, oh, well, I'll try that. So I put in an LED there. It didn't light up or anything like that, which I was hoping, but it did completely change the sound. It lowered the gain significantly down to what I would consider a usable level, and it kind of gave it a chunky kind of Marshall-esque sounding distortion instead of a high-gain metal distortion. But as you can see, I've got a Marshall over there, so I don't really need that. So after trying a couple different diodes, all kind of about the same, I decided to put the resistor back in, but I was tired of dealing with this little bitty one, so I put this other one I had laying around. I think this is a 2K resistor. I just did that because I was tired of messing with the little one. And it changed the sound a little bit. I liked it. If you want to do it, fine. If not, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. But if you want to lower the gain and make this pedal usable in one step, put a diode there. I tried these diodes over here, nothing really happened, and then turned out I finally found the clipping diodes. They were down here. For those who don't know, which I didn't, a diode is a little electrical component that only lets electricity go one way. There's the anode and the cathode, but basically it lets it go one way and not the other. It's a check valve. Tubes are diodes, and they also cause clipping, obviously better than, or more musical, actually not better, but more musical than solid state. So what I did is I took the first diode over here, which is the D5, and I put a light emitting diode, or LED, for those who don't know, for two reasons. One, I heard it makes a cool sound, and two, because it lights up when it clips, which is awesome. And I don't know if you can see the little parts in there, but there's kind of like a triangle pointing up and a triangle pointing down. The triangle pointing down, which is on this side, that's the direction it flows. Like, I kind of think of it, it just kind of flows down that little empty gap, which is not what actually happens, but that's my little mnemonic device. The easier way is there's a flat part on the side of the diode down here. That's the way the electricity is going to come out. On the regular diodes, they were orange and black that we were here in the first place. The band, the white, black, red, whatever band, is the side that it comes out. So make sure you put the flat part of the diode on the same side that the black band was, which in this case is facing in towards the PCB. I think you can probably see that in there, that weird little arch thing with the blob in front of the green capacitor. What I decided to do was to take the two diodes, I took the one that I took out and I soldered them together and put them back in the other direction, or the direction they were in the first place, because initially they're both going the wrong way, or the opposite way of each other. Just to see what would happen. It didn't really change much. It was a pain. I don't necessarily recommend it. If you want to, sure, why not? I don't know if that's a kosher soldering job. Probably not, but it wasn't worth undoing. It did change the sound a little bit. The goal here is something called asymmetrical clipping. I looked that up, what that was, and basically, for those who don't know, you've got the sine wave or the sound wave, and it goes up and down like that. Clipping happens when, say that it was going to go up, when it hits the top, it disappears, and then it comes back down over here. So it goes up all curve-like, and then it's flat, and then it comes down all curve-like, and then it's flat again, and then up. So when it clips it off and it makes it flat, that's clipping, and that's what causes distortion. So, but if you have the top one clipped differently than the bottom one, it's asymmetrical and it sounds a little bit more musical. And I saw a diagram that had one diode on one side and two on the other, so I thought I'd try it. It did. It changed the sound significantly. I think it had a kind of a more musical clipping, just a little more natural, not so computerized sounding. If you want to change the tone, I heard some things about changing out some of these capacitors. I didn't have any around, so I didn't bother. The C5 right here, this one that's kind of on the outside, this green one, I heard that affects the mid-range, so if you want to try that. He said he took it out. Somebody said they took it out. I don't know if they put a jumper or switched it with something else. They didn't really say. Like I said, there wasn't much out there. So anyway, probably the hardest part of the mod for me was getting this hole in this metal casing, because this is a thick, solid metal casing, and that is for this green LED to go through, and it was hard getting all that lined up just because I had the old drill bit. It's going to be the first one clean, and then with the pedal unmodified, and then I'll let you know what's going from there. So here we go. Okay, forgive the playing, but as you can hear, it's just kind of a typical metal, but it sounds really kind of computerized and fake. So this was after switching the LED clipping, the LED diode, the first one. Okay, it sounds a little bit more random, not quite as computerized. This is with the two diodes together. I'm not sure you could actually hear a difference through all the computer speakers, but okay, so it did add a little bit of difference. Now this one you'll probably notice a big difference. This is when I had switched the resistor with the diode up at R14. Granted, I already had changed the clipping diodes on here too, but I think it'll give you an idea of the difference. Like I said, if you're going to do one thing to make this pedal usable, that's probably it. That's not really what I was going for. So this is it, switched back with the 2K resistor. Okay, it kind of tightened up the sound a little bit. And now let's take a look at the final product here. We decided to go with a flat black because that's what I had laying around. Once again, zero cost. You can still kind of see the Danelectro thing through it. I didn't bother, I don't know if you can see that on there, but I didn't bother sanding it or anything because I didn't really care. I thought it was kind of cool. Black and white motif accentuates the LED here. While we were gone, I decided to go ahead and try the bridge to bridge the C5 capacitor. I took it out and then just took a little 3/4 inch piece of wire and looped it through there and just ran a bypass. And you know what? It did make a huge difference. Or not huge, but significant. I don't know about the mid-range, but it seemed to increase the bass response, made it a little meatier, a little chunkier. A little ballsier sound, which I think is a good thing. The settings I've kind of had the same. The volume's kind of down because it's really loud, and pretty much the bass and the treble are pretty much all the way up. The Fab is pretty much all the way up. So let's take a look at what this sounds like. Oh, also, if you're one who steps on your pedals really hard and stomps on them, you may not want to have your LED sticking out this much because once again it's connected straight to your circuit board. I'm not going to really have that problem, and I also just kind of wanted to accentuate the LED. So that's up to you, but just word to the wise. So let's see if we can see this thing clipping and hear what it sounds like. Oops, sorry.